is Andrew, and I'll be your safari guide on this lovely day. And looking forward out there, a quick and very important safety message that is for your safety, my safety, and the safety of each and every animal that we're going to find out there today. Please, everybody, remain seated at all times and keep those hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the vehicle at all times as well. And it looks like we have that all clear signal from the warden already, so let's go ahead and get to it, folks. Our very first stop here is the Little Ituri Forest. Animals here are pretty good at camouflage, so they'll use the surroundings like trees or bushes in order to blend in. That's something you see from various threats in the wild. So let's see what all we can find out here. Alright, looks like we have a bit going on already. I see one okapi out there on the right side. Okapi have very stripy legs. It's because of these stripes that lots of people naturally will associate this animal with a zebra. However, it's not related to a zebra at all. Instead, it's the only known relative of the giraffe. Also, we have two other antelope species out here on the left side. Some bongos, the smart antelope, and the non-horned antelope are greater kudu. I can tell you these are all female kudu because they do not have horns, so in their case, only the males will have those horns. But when it comes to bongos, both males and females will have them. That's because they use them as a very important navigational tool. They'll use them to push aside any of the obstructions they may run into in this forest environment, such as the branches of all these tightly packed bushes. Well, definitely so far so good in this forest, but let's see if there's anybody else we can find out here. Actually, I'm seeing a saddle-billed stork up on this hill to the right side. It's just laying down in a nest just on top of the bushes up there. And saddle-billed storks have a yellow saddle-shaped spot on their bill. Not too hard to guess where that bird gets its name from. Maybe hard to imagine, though, is that bird's wingspan. It's about 9 feet wide. That's about as wide as that canopy over our heads right now. Maybe we can find the other bird in that pair, and you can actually get an idea of how big those guys are. That'll give you a good idea when you get to see their head poking up like that. But we'll see if we can find anybody else as we go forward. If not, we are pretty quickly approaching our next stop, so either way, hopefully we'll be seeing some more animals pretty soon here. I am seeing another one of those saddle-billed storks up ahead here as we make this next turn.
Oh, wow.
So definitely gives you a better idea. Still definitely kind of crazy to think of that wingspan can go about 9 feet across. But with that said, folks, we are making our way on to that next stop, which is going to be the Safi River. And as this is a river, a lot of the animals we're defined here will be hanging out in or near the water. Main things we're looking for here are some Nile hippos and some Nile crocodiles. Hippos are nocturnal, so spend most of the daylight hours just hanging out in that water. Speaking of which, there's a good chance we could spot some hippos just out here on the right side after we make this turn. And depending on the angle, it could be a little bit harder for my friends to love to see them. And actually, I lied. We don't have any in the water just yet. We actually have some up on the bank coming up on the right side. And it looks like we'll also start to see some pink-backed pelicans just on this island out here to the right. And pink-backed pelicans have, you guessed it, pink backs. It's just much of the skin of their backs. So don't see it too much unless they're raising up those wings. But in the meantime, let's get a nice and close look at these hippos. Hippos are very large animals, of course. They're actually the most dangerous animal in all of Africa to humans. That's more so than any African predator. There's also quite a few of these guys out here on the left side. There's a common misconception about hippos that they can swim or float. They don't really do either. No, more so they'll just stand or walk on the bottom of whatever body of water they are in. So when we see them persistently breaking the surface with their heads or backs, that's how we know they're just standing in very shallow water. If they are down there pretty deep, they're able to hop up to the surface for some air, but they will sink right back down afterwards.
It's always the rhinos.
Alright, it looks like we have at least one hippo on the island to the left side, but as we continue on forward here, we're going to cross this bridge. It looks like we will start to see some Nile crocodiles out here on the left. Now, these guys don't like to move around a whole lot, and the idea is by living completely still, they will store up lots and lots of energy. That's important because when they need to move, usually they need to move very quickly. So just remember the energy, they can move as quickly as possible, and then they set really down, such as finding out spots with other crocodiles. Alrighty, looks like coming up on the right side here, we will start to see a very large tree. This is called a baobab tree. It's actually one of the smaller baobabs we'll see out there today. But on average, these trees hold about 25,000 gallons of water on their inside. Most of that water is not for the tree's own sustainment, though. It's more so for the animals that live around the tree. So animals can access that water pretty easily because the tree has a very soft and spongy bark to it. So any animals with horns or tusks that come along can poke a hole in that tree. Some of that water will drain out for them to drink. As we roll down this hill here, we will get a beautiful overlook view of the savanna. The savanna is home to some of the most popular and well-known animals of Africa. So with any luck, hopefully we can spot some zebras, some giraffes, maybe even some elephants out here. Let's just name a few of the animals that call this place home now. So we'll have to wait and see what all we can find. And it looks like we have two of those things I just mentioned out here on the right side. I see some Hartman's Mountain zebras and some Maasai giraffes out here. Hartman's Mountain zebras have very wide stripes towards their back end. Those stripes also don't go all the way through their bellies either, so those bellies are mostly white. We call a group of zebras a dazzle, so of course the dazzle of 5 over there.
I love that.
And we are starting to see a lot of those Maasai giraffes once again here. Maasai giraffes have very sharp, jagged edges to their spots. And we call a group of giraffes a tower on that note. Hopefully we'll get a closer look at some more of these guys as we go a little bit further up the road. Looking like right now we definitely will. But also, I'm noticing kind of something that correlates to these giraffes in this area. That would be the branches in these trees. I mean, there's a lot of these branches of low-hanging, or a lot of those lower-hanging branches are missing their leaves. And a lot of those lowest-hanging branches are just missing altogether as well. So definitely points to a lot of them being around here. We do have an Ankoli cattle out there on the right side. They got the very, very large horns. As large as those horns are, they're also very, very hollow. So kind of deceptive in that way, not nearly as heavy as they seem. Also start to see some African painted dogs out here on the left side. Now, painted dogs are often mistaken for hyenas, two different species though. They are both group hunters, but painted dogs actually have an exceptionally high success rate to their hunts compared to any other African predator. For reference, a pride of lion success rate is less than 20%. When it comes to painted dogs, it's more like 80%. So definitely a huge, huge difference there. These guys are really the best at what they do. Okay, it looks like we'll also start to see some sable antelope out here on the left side. Sables are very territorial. So you often see them mingling with other antelope species. They're actually so territorial to the point that if a predator were to come after them, they would not run away like most antelope would, but in fact they would stand their ground and defend themselves. Alright, get a few more of those Ankoli cattle out here on the left. Beautiful look at that thing. Those horns do serve a pretty useful and unusual purpose for these guys. And that purpose is cooling. The way that works is blood circulates throughout those horns. That blood carrying quite a bit of this animal's bodily heat in it. That heat will vent much more efficiently through those horns than they can through the rest of their bodies. So you gotta have a nice built-in ventilation system thanks to those horns.
Because it's going to be hard for you to get a good picture. Oh, look at this guy. He's walking really close to the...
Now, cool thing about giraffes is that they're pretty rarely spotted laying down, and you will see that occasionally on this reserve. That's just because they know they don't have any predators to worry about here, so they tend to take it a little more easy from time to time. That said, here and in the wild, standing is generally just more comfortable for them, so they'll spend the vast majority of their lives overall standing. That will include while sleeping. These guys do sleep standing up. And speaking of sleep, giraffes only sleep for about 30 minutes out of the entire day. That's not even going to be all at once either. They'll just sleep for a few minutes at a time, several times throughout the day. Solely operating off of power naps. Pretty impressive.
Power naps.
Now, of course, we have quite a bit else going on out here. We have some wildebeest out here on the right, as well as some springbok. Those are very, very small antelope there. Springbok are very well known for a behavior called pronking. Pronking is where a springbok will jump in the air repeatedly while on the run, sometimes reaching about as high as 6 feet vertically on each jump. They can also get about 13 feet through the air on each of those jumps as well. So definitely no wonder they have the word spring in their name. Alright, looks like we have some wildebeest up ahead here. Now, wildebeest are herd animals, as you may have been able to tell. A few of them out here as we went along. But in the wild, those herds at their largest recorded sizes have had about 1.5 million members to them. So definitely not quite that many here. As we keep inching on forward here, we are making our way into elephant country. So hopefully we can start spotting some African elephants pretty soon here.
Will we see coral?
Yes, I thought it was cool.
So I have not seen her yet today, but you never really know.
Oh. Maybe.
Alrighty, let's see what we got here. Okay, it looks like we have an elephant out here on the right side. Beautiful, look at that creature there. Elephants present those very long trunks, as we all know. Those trunks can move very articulately. They'll twist and curl just about any way these animals need. And that's because these trunks alone can have up to 100,000 muscles in them. We humans have just over 1,000 muscles in our entire bodies. So, of course, kind of a staggering comparison there. Oh, and actually, look at this. We have a mandrill out here on the left side, just climbing up on that rock there. Mandrills have a bright red and blue coloration on their faces, just like graffiti. That one was a male, I could tell just based on his size. He's a good bit larger and bulkier than you'll often find those females to be. Alright, now like I said, we're not nearly at the end of elephant country, so hopefully we can spot a few more of these creatures a bit further up ahead. Something to keep in mind when you're looking for elephants is that they have very sensitive skin. That means a few things for them, broadly speaking. For one thing, they really don't like flies, mosquitoes, really any of those insects that may bother us or irritate our skin. Will do just the same for them, if not more. That sensitive skin also means that they can get sunburned. So on a very sunny day, like today, these guys are spending most of the time hanging out in this area, so lots of shade. Again, most of that shade are those big groups of trees, so let's definitely be on the lookout for those first and foremost as we go forward. But in the meantime, we are moving through this red clay pit here, and I am seeing some signs of elephant activity. Some footprints in the ground and some tusk marks in the clay to either side. Elephants will eat by clay just like this. That's because it is loaded with nutrients. So for them, it's going to take a multivitamin than one of us might take at home. Okay, so I'm seeing at least one more elephant out here on the left side. Usually in this area, if you spot one or two, you'll probably spot 2 or 3 more as you go along. And it looks like I am starting to see more and more of them as we keep inching forward here. So let's keep on the lookout, see how many we can find.
She is. She's there.
Alright, folks, we do have a mother and baby elephant just out there on the left side. I'm trying to get the best view for you guys that I can. Now, elephants, of course, have another distinct feature, and that is their very large ears. Those ears do serve all kinds of purposes for these animals. For one thing, you will sometimes see them flap those ears, and as they do that, a lot of cooler air runs underneath them. Very important for them because those ears are loaded with blood vessels. So as they flap them, a lot of cooler air runs underneath. That cooler air cools down that blood. That blood will circulate throughout the rest of their bodies, bringing their whole body temperature down pretty significantly overall. Those ears do serve other useful purposes for these guys, though. They're pretty strong, sensitive listening tools. They're also pretty useful for displays of aggression, and they may do that for a few reasons. One could be predators, another could be other elephants. And speaking of that little baby there, in the wild, elephants will have to protect their young from predators, and they can do that by spreading those ears way out to the sides and holding them there. Makes them appear quite a bit larger from the front, and thus more intimidating.
You gotta send that to Aunt Q. Oh my god. You pull my leg. You go there.
Alrighty, let's see what else we got here. Looks like we have some weird flamingos up ahead here on the left side. These guys are that beautiful pink color, as we all know. They don't have that color at birth, but instead they built to gain it over the course of their lifetime from a chemical called beta-carotene. That chemical is found in their diet. That diet mostly consists of brine shrimp and krill. They're very small creatures. You can see a few of them eating that stuff now. Whenever they dip their beaks or their heads into that water, they'll slip through the water and filter out the food from it. They can filter out that food pretty easily. They do it with that set of bristles so between both halves of those beaks. Those bristles catch that food pretty easily as the water continues to flow through, kind of like a pasta strainer. Alrighty, with that said, folks, we are getting a little bit of a shift in the scenery in this area. So with any luck, hopefully we can spot some other types of animals out here. First thing I'm noticing is this big mud wallow out there to the left side, which to me is a great sign of lots of rhino activity in the area. And I think if we find any rhinos out here, it'll probably be white rhinos. The reason I say that is white rhinos in particular love to graze the grass pretty much exclusively. You may notice a lot of the grass out here is pretty short or missing altogether. So that will point at lots of them being around here. But in the meantime, there is a completely different animal I'm starting to spot coming up on the left side here. I do see at least one cheetah laying down up on this hill. Looks like I got at least two of them actually. But keep on the lookout, you may spot more of them as we go along. Now cheetahs are very fast animals, of course. They can run up to about 60 miles per hour. That's a 6-0. Makes them the fastest land animal in the whole world. They're also known as diurnal, which is the opposite of nocturnal. So they're active during the day. And they will typically sleep at night, just like us humans. It's kind of an unusual trait for these animals though. Most big cats are nocturnal. I'll have to keep that in mind as we go forward here. We are approaching a rock formation just up ahead here called a kopie. Kopies do sometimes have one type of nocturnal big cat hanging out on them, and that would be lions. Another thing of lions is they are nocturnal. With most nocturnal animals, right now maybe isn't the best time of day to be spotting them. That's the thing with lions is they spend up to 20 hours out of the entire day resting. That's kind of the trick of these guys. We just need them to decide to rest where we're going to be able to see them. It's not always going to be the case, so I don't guarantee these guys. I never count them out either, though. I never really know with them. So let's see if we get any more luck as we go around to the other side here. And it looks like there are some female ostriches way out there on the right side. I'd say at least two in the back there. I know those are female by the grayish color of their feathers. Male ostriches' feathers are more of a dark blackish color. Hopefully we can get a little bit of a closer look at them in just a bit here. In the meantime, let's take one more look up at this kopie, see if we can find any lions. I'm not 100% sure. I thought I maybe saw something laying down by the base of this sort of zigzaggy tree on the right side of thing. Okay, spot something there. But other than that, I'm not seeing a whole lot going on, unfortunately. The lions do roar, of course, and that roar can be heard. Oh yeah, there is a lion laying down up there. I think it's the male, actually. You can see his mane just barely poking up, just a little bit, just at the base of that zigzaggy tree. Just do a slow roll here, so hopefully we can all get some kind of view. But we'll also start to see some warthog burrows up ahead here on the left side. So let's see if we can find any warthogs hanging out here. And we do have one laying down just by the base of that fallen tree, just up on this hill to the left side. Actually, there's three of them back there. Now, warthogs are the largest burrowing animal in the whole world, and those burrows down there are pretty large to match. But we'll leave them on themselves using their very large white tusks, kind of like a shovel. That said, if they do find a burrow behind by another animal, they may not be very picky. They may just move right on into that one instead. It looks like we'll get a view of at least one more of those ostriches out there on the right side. Ostriches are birds, of course, so they do have wings, but they don't use those wings for flight, so instead they will use them for balance. And they do need that. They're very fast runners. They can run up to about 40 miles per hour at the higher speed to spread those wings out to the sides, using them kind of like a counterweight. So if they make any sudden stops or turns, they can do so while keeping their footing. Looks like some ostrich eggs out there on the right side. Ostriches will lay these pretty regularly, just like a chicken would. And we only have females in this reserve, so you'll see them pop up every now and then. Coming up ahead here on the left side, we are starting to see the Magati glens. We're going to find the wooded spokes as we see here. But also, what we're looking for here are some Nigerian dwarf goats. Okay, yeah, it looks like all these goats are enjoying some time in the sun around the other side here. These goats are fairly popular pets in some parts of the world and an increasingly popular farm animal all around the whole planet. That's largely thanks to their size. They're quite small compared to other goat species, so as a result, they require less food and therefore money to take care of than those other goat species. The farmer in Africa is a few of these goats that farmer will sell their milk and cheese products into the local food economy. What would you send for hunting local wildlife for food? Alrighty, folks, it's starting to bring us towards the end of our adventure out there today. If you enjoyed seeing the animals you saw out there and you want to see some more, do have a few recommendations for you. Firstly, I will let you know that no two safaris are the same, so if you were to join us again today or another day of your visit, there's a good chance you may spot some animals you didn't get to see at all this time. You also witness some animal behaviors you've never seen before either. Alternatively, Animal Kingdom has many other ways to spot creatures all around the whole planet. Or there's just outside the exit of this ride. That's the Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail. There you can find gorillas, of course, as well as meerkats, and an aviary with over 200 African birds in it. It's also a similar trail to that one over in Asia. It's the Maharaja Jungle Trek, but there you can find some Sumatra tigers, Komodo dragons, and some very large, very beautiful fox bats. But the trails are about a 20 to 30 minute walk through each with no wait to get in, so you can knock them off your list pretty easily. There's also quite a few more animals on both of those trails than I got a chance to mention just now, so I definitely do recommend that you check both those out and see what all you can discover. Folks, very sadly, a lot of those animals we saw out there today and a lot you can't see around this whole park are endangered